How can I not be too salesy? Okay, now this is one of the questions I get asked many, many, many times from different people, different organizations. And, most people really don't want to come across as too pushy. They don't want to be too salesy, yet they're really aware that, conversations need to progress and, business kind of needs to be happening. So, how can we do this? Like, how can we be on a mission to bring in new business, but also, have conversations that just don't feel too pushy or don't feel too salesy? Now, there's a lot that goes into this, and it's something that can take a lot of practice. So don't worry if you don't kind of feel like you're getting it right now. Like, it's good to just try things out and feel like you're getting that balance right. But today I wanted to share 3 kind of areas I see where people maybe do come across as a little bit too pushy, and things that you can focus on in your own sort of sales calls or exploratory calls to avoid coming over as too pushy. So the number one mistake I see is organizations will focus too much on themselves. They might use those precious minutes to go through a slide deck or share tons of information and lots of facts and figures, lots of case studies, loads of like cool names of people that they've worked with and all this kind of stuff. And it's kind of demonstrating loads and loads of different things they've done for people. Now, obviously, a customer will need to know about you. They'll be interested to know in some of the work that you've done, other customers that you've got, or case studies. They'll want to know all of this stuff. But leading on that or jumping in too early with lots of information about yourself has a negative impact. It can come across as very pushy, very salesy, and people aren't usually, no offense, like that interested in everything that you've done so far. There is a time and a place to share that, and you may find that during that meeting you actually do go through a presentation, or they would like to see some examples of case studies. It really depends on what your sales process looks like. So you certainly want to have all of this and be super prepared for it. But if it's a new conversation with somebody you haven't yet met before, I would recommend that you focus the conversation a lot more about them to start with, and you can follow up with information about yourself, or like make that kind of later on during your call or your meeting. Okay, so that's your first one, is less on you, more about the customer. Second, questions. Now, if you've worked with me before, you'll know that I'm super big on, listening skills and questioning skills, and really nailing your questions that you ask for clients will really support you in coming across as not too salesy and not too pushy. Now, a mistake I do see people make is questions can be quite basic. They can be kind of fact-finding questions that, to be honest, you could easily find out ahead of the call anyway, and as part of your initial research. So you want to ask questions that really start to uncover client needs, what their challenges are, what they may be looking to achieve, where they may need support, and how that aligns with what your organization offers. So you're really just trying to, understand where they're at right now, understand what their challenges are, understand what they're looking for, understand what they may have done in the past, and really ask good questions that dig deep and learn a lot more about what your client is looking for, rather than kind of more basic questions that don't really get kind of to the grips of exactly what they're looking for right now. Okay, and then the third area I think that really helps the most in not being too salesy and not being too pushy is making sure that everybody you're speaking to just feels really super listened to. We're human, like we all want to feel heard, we all want to feel understood. And if you can create a call or a meeting whereby a client steps away from that thinking, you know what, they really understood me, like I really feel listened to, I really felt like they understood exactly where we're at right now, and that they may have a potential solution for this, and I actually just really enjoyed the conversation as well. This is so good for not being too pushy, not being too salesy, and having that person you've been speaking to just feel super listened to and super understood. It's amazing for building up rapport, amazing for deepening your relationship with this potential customer. And most importantly, you come across as somebody who's helpful, who's consultative, who really puts your client needs before yourself, and you're not trying to kind of shoehorn someone into doing something. So, just taking that time, and, it can feel a bit counterproductive. Like lots of sort of teams that I work with think, they need to be talking loads and perfect their pitch, and they need to kind of get through loads of stuff during this call. Like, it's really not the case. The more you can just slow down, listen, and make your client feel super heard and understood is the absolute best way for not being too pushy or too salesy. So I hope that helps, and feel free to subscribe, and I will see you again soon.